My name is Marietta Mehanni, and today's aqua tip, we are using the noodle. Now, the way we're going to use the noodle today requires no gripping whatsoever. Great, isn't it? But we are using it as a resistance tool. Palms pressing down on the noodle, fingers spread open, so there's no gripping with the fingers, and you have to tell your clients to do that, right? Making sure your hands are evenly spaced. You're going to swing the noodle from side to side and perform a jogging motion. Now, I really like this exercise because I've got a little bit of rotation that's happening. Well, my abdominals are controlling that action as it goes across, and I'm trying to lift my knee all the way up to the noodle, and I'm trying to press the noodle all the way down to my knees. And in doing that, I'm pressing my shoulders down. Now that is a different game changer, isn't it? Because often we're trying to tell our clients shoulders down, whereas with this one, you're trying to get down to your knees, and it's also giving you a reference point to pull your knees up towards the noodle, right? So here we are, jogging from side to side, and you're pushing down, and there's no gripping on the noodle. Now, if you take your hands further apart, it is a lot more demanding on your lats. So your lats and your back have to work a little bit harder. So the wider your hands are apart, the more you have to work to maintain control. Okay, when your hands are closer together, it becomes very, very easy. So that's another way that you can modify this exercise to suit different clientele needs, and then just ask them, take your hands wider and wider if you want to work a little bit harder. Very simple exercise and really effective with posture, getting the heart rate up, encouraging people to push shoulders down and lift knees up. And that is this week's aqua tip. Right, not a tricky one to demonstrate on pool deck, except for the fact that you've got to try explain that they're not going to grip the noodle, but you actually have to demonstrate with a grip. So what you can do is start by gripping the noodle, remembering that the closer the hands are together, the easier the exercise is. And you may ask your class to start with this motion, swinging the noodle across the body, keeping the knees lifted up. Now, it is a jog. So what I recommend to do is demonstrate a couple of jogs, but then explain how you want to lift the knee up. See how I've demonstrated that? Now, I've demonstrated that by lifting my own knee up with my hand. So I'm not trying to use just my hip flexor. So this is how I would teach it. All right, everyone, jogging, hands close together on the noodle, lifting your knees up higher than the noodle height. Now, if you want to work harder, take your hands wider. But if you want to work the muscles in your back, release the fingers, only use your palms to press down on the noodle. This will activate the muscles in the back that are so important with keeping the shoulders down and maintaining good posture. That's how I would teach it. So notice that I'm touching the shoulder, I'm showing the muscles of the back where they're supposed to feel it, and then I've explained to release the fingers, and of course you can then indicate if they want to work even harder to take the hands even wider, remembering fingers released. You will need to communicate that a couple of times because the natural go-to is to grip the noodle, right? That's how we always teach it normally. But if you tell your class, this is a track where we're going to be using the noodle and we're not going to use our fingers at all. In fact, I want you to spread your fingers wide open as you press down on the noodle. The goal is how low can you push the noodle down, or how high can you lift your knees up above the noodle? And that actually is probably a better cue in regards to getting people to lift their knees up high and really press down with their hands. Not a hard exercise to demonstrate, but do use your non-verbal cues with what you're touching, demonstrating the hand open. Everything that you say, there's a non-verbal communication to it, and it makes people, it's a little easier for them to understand the verbal cues, especially if it's a little bit hard to hear you over the ambient noise, or perhaps there's some hearing loss. And that is this week's Aqua Tip.